Hey everybody, this is Stephanie. So before we get into the last part of the colorism series, I just wanted to take some time out to offer some uh, information and some resources in the wake of the tragedy in Atlanta where 8 people of Asian or Pacific Islander descent were taken from us by literally a monster who literally was just a monster. I mean, there's no other way to describe this person. And there has been some heavy hearts. We have friends, we have loved ones, we have people we know, people that we follow, even if it's just a celebrity. If you only know a person in an AAPI community via an Instagram follow, it's a lot of heavy hearts since a very heavy week. So I wanted to provide some resources, and I'm getting this from another person that I follow on. It's actually somebody I follow on Instagram and also on Twitter. Her name is Hilary Banks. She is the co-host of the Rewind Love Pod. So I wanted to she put this on her Instagram, and I wanted to verbally put it out, and I will put a link to this page on her Instagram in the show notes. So I just wanted to share this with everyone. Hi, all. If you are interested in donating to Asian American organizations, nonprofits, or legal defense funds to help hashtag Stop Asian Hate, Hillary's company, HarperCollins/News Corp, is matching donations made to the organizations on the next slide and in her caption. If you would like your donation matched, aka doubled, feel free to reach out to Hillary. Basically, you will send the money to Hillary. You would send her the money you want matched, and she would submit it to her company's matching program. And also, she made the suggestion to see if your company is doing a donation match as well. So the organizations that she listed on her Instagram are the ACLU, Stop AAPI Hate, Asian Health Services, Apex for Youth, API ENC, API Equality Northern California, that's what it stands for, the CAAAV, and that is the Committee Against Anti-Asian Violence, DVRP, which is Domestic Violence Research Project, NAPAWF, which is the National Asian Pacific American Women's Forum, and the Asian American Legal Defense and Education Fund. So if you would like to have Hillary match your donation to any, if you want or feel so compelled to donate to one of those organizations, please DM her. Her Instagram handle is sonmarselfee. So I will spell that out. It is SONMARSELFEE. So definitely check her out on Instagram. I'll also have her handle in the show notes. And if you are feeling, this week has been heavy, and if you need to take a break from social media, because we are all we're sharing, we're amplifying, but even in the good intention of amplifying and sharing, we may be harming people. And I get it. It's not the harm, and harm and intention is not something that goes hand in hand. So us having the intention of sharing something good or letting people know things going on, it could still cause harm. And with that, apologies if something that I've shared on my Instagram has been harmful and traumatic. Definitely my apologies. I definitely get it. So I think in that wake, I may be limiting how much I share on my story or any part of my social media. But please, if you are experiencing a lot of heavy thoughts, just, it's okay to take a break. It really is. I'm someone who took a break last summer. I've taken breaks several times in my life. So sometimes when you see something really heavy, you have to take a break, and it is okay if you take a break. But I just wanted to share a few of those organizations. And if you want to go to any of those organizations outside of Hilary, do that as well. But definitely wanted to give that information. Also, if you want to go to any other places on Instagram, I will have some of the links in the show notes. A couple that I'm thinking of is Asians for Anti-Racism. She is my my distant podcast cousin, because she is very good friends with Charmaine, as you know, my main bae from Militantly Mixed and Blurred Comics. So her name is Asian_Soph, SOPH. So definitely head there if you want to go to Asians for Mental Health. There are a lot of people that are on Instagram. Another one is Stop Asian Hate. There's a lot going on. I'm going to find out as many handles and links that I can put into the show notes. So with that, definitely all my love to everyone, all 8 victims, to their family members and their loved ones who literally thought they were just going to have just an ordinary day of work or just an ordinary day in Atlanta. So if you can, it's just heavy, and it's going to be heavy for a very long time. Okay. So that's my little spiel for right now. And now let's get into the third part of the Colorism series. Thank you guys so much for listening. Alrighty. Here we go.
To the Mocha Minutes podcast. I'm Stephanie. Thank you so much for joining me. You can find the Mocha Minutes podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Google Play, TuneIn, Castbox, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. Find us on any of those platforms or wherever else you catch your podcast. Also, still soliciting for ratings and reviews. If you would be so inclined, please leave us some 5 stars. Leave us some reviews. Would greatly appreciate it. Also, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Mocha Minutes on all 3 of those platforms. If you want to shoot me an email, give me some feedback. Other than on those 3 places, you can email me at mochaminutes@gmail.com.
Hello and welcome back to the Mocha Minutes podcast. This is Stephanie. Thank you so much for joining me. We are on part 3 of our conversation about colorism, and I've been gearing this up. And first we started with Sasha from the Bravo Breakdown, and so when I told her that my guest here is coming, she's like, "Ooh, that's going to be a good conversation." And then last week, you guys heard my fire sign sisters, Taria and Cook, where we talked about colorism, and I also told them, and they were like, "Ooh, this is going to be good." So y'all already know who it is, but I will still give her the introduction. So there's no way that I can have this conversation about colorism without my mother.
Yes, it is I, it is me, it is Pamela Williams. Yes, the mother of the beautiful, the wonderful Stephanie. What a great daughter.
Oh my gosh. So thank you so much for being here. It's always funny, the stuff that I can be like, "Can you come and do this?" And you're like, "Oh yeah, sure, I can do that.
Yes.
I can do this." I can do that.
Love her.
So because of, and I don't know if it's just because the world is closed, but I feel like whenever I have conversation series, I'm like, it always feels like it's long overdue, and it's a continuing conversation. And the one now is about colorism, because a lot of people are not either we don't have a concept of what colorism is because people don't Google, and we look at things, oh, this is colorism, like, so that's not what colorism is, because it's for everybody who doesn't understand colorism is always a detriment to darker skinned people and a benefit to lighter skinned people,
always.
And so for a lot of people, they think like, oh, it flows both ways. I'm like, so if there's no reverse racism, there is no reverse colorism.
Yeah. right.
So I think it was a different time for you, but it's like, it's different. It was this time for me when I was younger, so we didn't have all the words. But when people ask you about what colorism is now, what do you tell them it is? At least to you, how it feels colorism is.
Well, not too many people ask me about it now, except for educated people like yourself. But I do see it in action now a lot more, but I don't get asked about it because I am a bit much older now. But when I was growing up, I saw it in action. But it wasn't, it was pretty bad when I was growing up. But right now, I see it. I see it, and it is... Right now, it seems like it's not too much a detriment for black males. And I see that because it is used for rap. And the darker you are, the more dangerous you seem. And that can be a detriment, or that can help you in a way to be dangerous. So, yeah.
It's interesting that you bring up that it's different for men, because I've heard for black men, some of them don't understand the concept of it. Yeah. And so I've always been saying, like, it's not that black men don't experience it, it's just that they don't see it as that. I remember having a discussion with Hayes, and he was like, well, what about people who like have a preference for darker skinned black men? I'm like, you're talking more about a fetish, and a fetish is not a positive thing. It's like, why would they only want darker skinned men? Because you think they have bigger dicks and they fuck better. It's like, is that why you...
Whoa!
It's like, I'm sorry.
No. You don't have to be sorry, because, well...
Right, so that's the thing.
That hasn't been my case. I haven't always been married to your father, but...
Y'all.
Blush.
So it's kind of like when you have this conversation with black men, especially darker skinned black men, you'll see that a lot of them, they'll feed into colorism.
Yes.
Because I've seen, like, when I've seen,
it's a benefit.
So that's why when you bring up men, it's kind of like, for some black men, they don't understand it. They didn't understand it on Potomac either. It's like everybody doesn't have the range to talk about it, because I think when it comes to colorism, I think black women can really talk about it. Yeah. Because one, it's for, like, the darker you are as a black woman, you're seen as, you're quote unquote seen as more masculine. Yeah. And it's like, so that's not how that works, because what does that mean? What does that mean? Yeah. So it's kind of like, because when I bring up Serena Williams, a lot of people really act like we are making this up, that one, people used to call her ugly. Two, they used to talk about her bushy eyebrows. Guess how I know? Because I remember y'all saying that. And also that she has to be... she must be a man because of how good of an athlete she is. Yes. And then Jamie Foxx hosted the Okay, it stopped for some reason. Sorry. Jamie Foxx hosted the ESPYs and said, "Oh, y'all look at her fat ass." Then all of a sudden it was like, "Oh, damn, Serena." I'm like, wait a minute, hold up. Yeah. And then they're like, "We ain't never say that." Yes, y'all did. Did she gets married to a white man? How's she going to abandon us? What you mean abandon y'all? Yeah. She dated a lot of people. She also was with Common, aka the hoe for the streets. And she also dated Drake. I'm sorry. Common is Woo, Common is common dick, okay?
Come on over
It's like
here,
he is community.
Come on
We all
over
want to
here.
step in that
Yeah.
community. I'm sorry, this is not
Well,
about...
with Serena, they not only said that they compared her to an ape, but she also stepped into a lily white sport and took it over, her and her sister. So there's a reason behind all of that. And she's not just dark, but she took their sport. She she handled the entire thing. She's the best in the world. So no matter what flavor, color, or anything else, she was at the top of the game. Now she's going to, she's
still like... I think
she's at the top of her
she's
game.
not 40 yet.
Yeah,
I think me and Serena are not that far apart in age.
Yeah,
because
she's
the
wonderful.
stuff that the Williams sisters got...
They
Tiger
got,
Woods never got, but I
Of
think it's
course
mostly because he kind of walked back to him being black. He made up a whole word to do that. And I was like, sir.
Cablaisian or something.
Cablo-Asian. And it was like, what does... Okay, so where did you get this word from? And
Because he only wanted to be a little bit black.
Right. And so it's kind of like, because one, Tiger he blackened up golf. Because I'm like, do we have any... I'm like, I'm pretty sure if I do a Google, I can find a black golfer, but...
Golf was lucky to get him.
Yeah.
He was very lucky to get him because not only was he black, not that he's gone anywhere, but he was the best.
Yeah.
And I pray that he gets better and everything gets well with his legs because he was really, really in a very horrible accident, and that's horrible for anyone, but he really needs his legs to come back.
Yeah.
And he can be healed, and I pray that he can be.
Yeah.
But he is the best so far, and that's regardless of any color.
Yeah.
But back to the colorism of it all. Let's go, Stephanie. Go.
It's like it's
know.
very interesting to watch how little things are colorism, and you're just like, what? So on last week's show, we were talking about Lovecraft Country. And so a girl on TikTok someone had asked them like a crazy casting story. So she was a light-skinned black woman, but she had very Afrocentric features. She had a very wide nose. She had really full lips, but she was very light-skinned. So she got cast on Lovecraft Country, but she didn't say what it was. She said, I was on the show, and she was just detailing that they had put like darker makeup on her. They put makeup on her hands because she was supposed to be like the younger version of one of the people on the cast.
Oh, okay.
So here was the thing. She wasn't in any scenes. She posed for a picture that was in the background of a scene. So if you had blinked, because I blinked and missed all of this, it's like you didn't even see her. She wasn't acting. She literally posed for a picture and they put the picture in the background. And I'm like, you painted someone's whole face darker. She's maybe like 4 shades darker in the photo. They painted her hands. And also, she said when she was getting her makeup done, she was in between 2 of the main cast, Courtney B. Vance and Journey Smollett.
Okay.
And it was like, they were there and they watched all of this happen. And so it was like, wait a minute, they did all of this to make you darker because you had the facial features, but it wasn't like you were in a scene. You were just in a photo in the background that somebody wouldn't have even noticed.
So what did they...
And so she's like, oh, I had to make sure I get out because I looked ridiculous. And I'm like, so the thing,
You're not telling... be more menacing?
No, she was just posing for a photo. It was just to be like compared to another person on the cast, and it wasn't even a main cast member. It was just like, you did all of this for one little scene, and it's like, the bad part about it is, how many times does this happen? She's not somebody's figured out this is what you have to do.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, she has the facial features. We can just put darker makeup on her. I'm like, yeah, so this is why that Nina Simone movie flopped. Instead of y'all getting an actual black woman who has the skin tone and the facial features of Nina Simone, y'all put Zoe Saldana, who looks nothing like her. Absolutely nothing like her. And it's like, Michaela Cole is right there. And it was like, she looks like Nina Simone. It's like, oh, put her in the movie. She looks like her. I'm like, yeah, you're right. She does. He's like, I don't even, it's like, it's so weird to like little things. So we were all like, that makes no sense to do all of that for something that's like the blink of an eye. I'm like, you would miss it if you didn't tell us. It's like, that's so weird. That's so dumb.
Yeah. Okay.
So now that you have a notion of what colorism is,
I don't know.
how old were you when you think you first experienced it?
I think I was maybe 5 or 6. And 5 or 6 as I was going to school, and Black and Ugly came up. I was told Black and Ugly, and that was from other students or something. Yeah, something like that. It had to be 5 or 6. Black and Ugly. And I got that also from my mother, who is very fair-skinned. And Black South. Your Black South. Yeah. School parent who's very fair-skinned, and I am very out of. I would not pass the paper bag test. I would never get into any parties. If you've never heard of that paper bag test, I could never get into a party. And the age I am, it was past my. It was older than I was, but I heard about those parties. I didn't have to go to any. Oh. But I am dark brown. I am Mocha.
So, yeah. On Blackish, they had an episode where Jennifer Lewis's character, Ruby, was talking about when she would go down to the country and visit her family. Yeah. Like, she couldn't, they would say, don't go outside, don't get any blacker than you are. Or if, like, on certain parts of the porch, she couldn't sit.
Yeah. Because the sun would make you blacker.
Yeah.
And that is, like, I heard, you don't need to get no blacker. You don't need to get no blacker. And everybody gets darker in the sun. And,
right.
And at the time, you didn't think it was painful. As a child, you didn't think it was painful because I had relatives and that lived in Virginia, and we would visit them quite a lot. It was great going down there. It was like wide open Virginia fields, corn, real hogs, cows, the whole thing. It was beautiful. And it just they didn't have air conditioning. They didn't have running water. They had wells. You had to go and get the water. Yeah. And it was great. And the food, oh my gosh, what? So you didn't worry about that. But when I came back to the city, that's when you knew it was like Black and Ugly. Black and Ugly went together, and I was in an all-black neighborhood. It wasn't any white people. There was maybe 1 or 2, but Black and Ugly went together in the city, not in the country. But Black in the Sun, yeah, but I got that more from just my family. Black and Ugly were together from my family. But friends and all of that, no, not my friends, but I got called ugly quite a lot.
Yeah, and I think because when people talk about colorism, they feel like, that's how the white people treat. It's like, no. You're talking about how black people treat each other.
Yeah,
and it's based on, I'm like, it's if you want to draw from the well is white supremacy. However, it's like we're talking about between other black people. I'm like, and I think every marginalized group with brown skin, they all experience colorism.
Yes,
like South Asian people experience it. We saw colorism, like, remember when the Olympics were in Rio and there were these stories how they didn't want to show the favelas because that's where the darkest skinned Latinos lived. So they tried they tried everything they'd like to do it. I'm like, because everybody thinks Brazilians look like Giselle Bundchen. I'm like, first of all,
no.
It's like, that's not what Brazilians actually look like. And even Shakira, who's from Colombia, and she's like still somewhat of a fairer skinned Latina. So it's kind of like there's a lot of colorism that goes into it, because I'm like, yeah, y'all don't understand. I'm like, that whole like skin whitening and skin bleaching products, that's for everybody.
Yeah.
And if you're darker skin, it's like, oh my gosh. Remember on America's Next Top Model, the beautiful Indian model? She was I think her name was Anshul.
Yes.
So gorgeous.
Oh, beautiful.
And she was like, yeah, I gotta wear the colored contacts, the skin lightening creams. She said I'm too dark, and they said I'm not beautiful because I'm too dark. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, that's colorism, because you look at Anshul and like, she is so beautiful. This is where are y'all getting that she's ugly? And not even her face. It's just her skin tone.
Skin tone.
That's it. It was like, this is nuts. I'm like, ugh. It's like it's pervasive, because all of it is like, the closer to whiteness, the more beautiful you are.
Yeah.
And then I make a joke about Married to Medicine. One of the women on there, like, her name is Lisa Nicole Cloud, and her husband, Darren. And everybody's like, Darren is so fine. I'm like, Darren is not fine. Darren is light skinned with a mole.
Well, I'm not going to throw anybody out of bed because they're light skinned.
Right.
But,
like, oh my God, he's so fine. Because when I was we've talked about, like, you remember back in the day, it was like Team Denzel versus Team Wesley. It was like, you like Denzel, you like Wesley, and this is two darker skinned black men. It wasn't like
I'll take
Denzel versus Mario Van Peebles. That's not what happened.
Nobody like Mario Van Peebles.
I mean, he is kind of fine, but his daddy's fine too.
Man,
I'm like, I don't know what it is, but it's kind of like, but also on the same token, on the flip side, you had Al B. Shore ! It's like, I don't know what it was about Al B. Shore, but it's like, he has an exclamation point on his name.
That's how he came out.
And it's like, he's so fine. It's like...
But he was cool, though, but when he first came out, nobody really knew what he looked like.
Really?
No. They didn't show him because it came on the radio, and it took a long time to get
see
that
people.
tape. Yes, and they get that tape. Yeah, when
so
it came out,
like,
you had no idea what he looked like.
So was New Jack City the first time a lot of people saw him?
No.
Oh.
It took a long time. He had a whole tape out first. Mm-hmm. And then when he came, I was like, what? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then it's like, oh my God. Oh, he can't act.
Right? It was like, man, that movie is just...
This movie is so good, but Al B. Shore
like, how is Luther Vandross better in the movie and he don't say nothing?
Because he don't say anything.
Right. It was like,
he was
Luther just made
thug.
Wait a minute. Luther was just making facial expressions.
Yes.
I'm like, he has not said one word in Meteor Man. He don't have no speaking parts. Why is he better in a movie than Al B. Shore ! Who had lines with Wesley? I'm like,
he didn't need
how
to
is
speak.
this possible?
Because he couldn't act.
But also, Meteor Man was it's a gem, y'all. It really is a gem.
Yes.
I heart this so much. I don't know why. I'm like, Robert Townsend, I'm like, I love it. It's such a cult classic. I'm like, y'all need to stop sleeping on Meteor Man. It's the Meteor Man.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Very, very good. Very good.
God. So, because you had seen, like, it wasn't the word, but it was like, you experienced colorism. Mm-hmm. So now you have a daughter.
Yeah.
Because we've been talking about how it differs between men and women, do you think that you parented me and Steven differently?
Yes.
Because of color?
I do, and I try to stay away from the whole color thing because it didn't matter to me. But when you were born, you were so light, and
really,
oh my gosh, you were like, you almost looked white. You almost looked like a white baby, and you had a head full of jet black curls. You're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, and you were huge. You're like 8 pounds of baby. And my mother was there with me, and she was like, "This is a beautiful baby. You were just
really?
Beautiful." And as you know, by the time we got home, you just looked kind of light. That was like 2 or 3 days later.
Okay.
Oh no, but you were really, really light. So for a while, you were really, really light. Mm-hmm. And my mother was so happy because you looked just like her. And then, also on your father's side, his people were light too, but not real light.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like that. But my mother is very colorist because she liked saying black and ugly, black.
Do you think that's something that she had to like grow out of? Do you think?
I don't think she will.
Oh.
I don't think she will because her mother was very dark and her father was very light.
That's
so
daddy.
And so she was kind of caught between two worlds right there. And she was brought up in Virginia, and she's very fair, and her brother is very dark because of that.
Yeah.
So kind of straddling both worlds for her. I'm not sure. We never really discussed that.
Yeah.
But you can see the impartiality of that because I'm dark, and one son and both of my brothers, one brother was really fair skinned, and one was in the middle.
Yeah.
So you had all three different shades.
You bring it up, it really
three different shades.
It helps people to, well, it's like, because when people were talking about like when black people procreate and they look at like the skin tone of their kids, like, you know, the running joke was about the Cosby Show, like you had like one dark skinned kid and three light skinned, but it's like, but that really is how this happens because it's like, so it's not that far off per se, because
not at all.
That's how it is. It's like you can have people with the same parents and there are three different skin tones. Because I have a friend, I have friends who, like, she has a sister and a brother, and they're all not the same skin tone. Like, the brother is the darkest, and then she is a little bit, she's a little bit, she's fine. She's a little bit darker, and then her other sister darker. They're all not the same skin tone, but they all have the same parents.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it's like, and their parents are not darker skinned people. So it's very interesting when you look at it. Like, that's just how genetics come out. That's just how it comes out. Yeah. So it's like, I would understand the jokes about the Cosby Show, like, why all these light skinned people and then this. And it's like, well, that really can happen.
Yes.
Because, I mean, me and Steven have the same parents and we're not the same skin tone.
No.
Right.
No. And then, I am darker than my father. Well, than my father was. But I'm the same complexion my grandmother was.
Right. And then, like, like,
you know, I am.
His daughter is a little bit lighter than you, and it was just like, it's so weird. And it's just like, this is so crazy. Like how skin tone and genetics really do work. And like, it's like,
So and I have a cousin who is very light complected, and he has freckles.
You know who else has freckles, and it's crazy whenever I look at her? Gabrielle Union has freckles.
Yeah.
And I'm like, because a lot of people are like, oh, that's only for lighter skinned people. I'm like, there are darker skinned black people who do have freckles. I'm like, and I think it's super cute when I see them.
It's like, oh.
I was like, oh, that's so cute. Because I think, what's her name? Jamel Hill. She has freckles, I think.
Does she?
I thought so. Because once she always had makeup, but I think maybe she was like on her honeymoon, and I think I saw it. I'm like, oh, she has freckles.
Yeah. And, okay.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's so interesting.
And so does Gregory.
Look at he does.
But so does Chip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, and they're not the same skin tone. And so it's like, I wonder how that works. It's like, I
don't know. But they didn't have, no one was darker in that area. But, and Anne was like. Yeah. Yeah, so it's like.
Yeah, and they all had the same parents.
Yes.
It's like you go, oh yeah. So because of colorism, like because you knew how pervasive and how toxic it can be, what were some of the things that you put in place as a parent for me to combat that? Because one, it's like you can't change the world, but you can change the world in your home and how that looks.
Okay. Well, with you, I wanted you to know that you were special and you were wonderful, not because of anything you did, but because of who you are. You couldn't work to be just wonderful. You didn't have to do anything to be wonderful. You just are wonderful. It was so important to me that you realized that your own skin was just great. So you didn't have to fix anything, to do anything, that you just are.
Yeah.
Period. You didn't have to go and do nothing. You're going to be and do great things, but let's start with, I'm wonderful just how I am. Look at that mirror. Look at the mirror. And I remember you getting angry with me. I don't want to look in the mirror. Go looking at it anyway.
She did. She was like, go look in the mirror. I don't want to do it. Go in there and go look. Go look.
Because I get so bad. It's like...
And I think you're saying something that's very poignant that I don't think a lot of women get to hear. They're saying, like, you're wonderful because just you are. Because a lot of times, this is how women are raised as children. They're raised to help and take care of other people. Yes. And the only way that you're valuable as a woman is if you're a good wife, if you're a good mother, you can cook and clean and do this. And it's like, oh, okay, so there's a thing called Uber Eats. Nigga, I will order you some food. Like, what the hell is going on here? It's like, what? So it's kind of like for a lot, and that's the thing. It seems like old school thinking, but it's still there. Like, still you're there. Not like, I mean, are you a great woman? I'm like, are you a mother? Do you have someone to love you? And it's like, you sound miserable talking about the man you share a bed with. I know you're not talking to me.
Yes.
And it's kind of like, that's a lot of women, we don't hear that. And especially, it's for black women. Black women's like, it seems like for a lot of people, the only way they love a black woman is if it's somehow a transactional relationship.
Exactly.
A wife, a mother, a kid, a sister. It has to be something from you. It can't be just like, I just love black women because they're beautiful. And I just love black women and that's it. I'm like, I just love black women because they're black women and I'm a black woman and I love black women. That's it. I'm like, I don't need you to do anything else. But it's like for a lot of black women, we're kind of just told like, you're on this earth to be of service to somebody else.
And that was my main goal, is for you to get to a point sometime. It may not be this day, and it may have already occurred, and the timeline didn't matter to me. What is important to me is that you live your life realizing that nothing in this world is going to give you importance but you. Because that way, nobody else can walk away and take your importance away.
Yeah.
Only you can do that. Because I did not learn that until I was past 40 years old. I had to learn that through therapists and tears and depression and people hurting my feelings. And I'm like, you can't have that. Mm-hmm. You can't take parts of me away when you leave. And I didn't realize I had to have that kind of esteem in myself. And it was important for me to put that into you and Stephen, that you guys are important. Nobody else is going to give it to you. Nobody, and that way they can never ever take it away from you. It's not just self-esteem. It's love for yourself, and not above people, but a lot of people don't love themselves unless other people love them first. Like they have to use other people to validate how much they love themselves. Well, if I don't have 3.2 men and 5 children, that means I'm not important. Well, guess what? Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Regardless of how many other people, if you don't love yourself, if you don't, you're going to do all kinds of ridiculous craziness, and you're going to end up hurting yourself. And it matters. You matter.
Yeah.
You better matter to you.
Yeah.
And that's what I meant. Wait a minute. I know we had lots of fights about this, people. I just need to tell you that.
Wow. Wow, Bethany. Wow.
Love this girl. Love her. Love my daughter just because her name is Stephanie Nicole Williams. That's it. You ain't got to do anything else. But just be happy with your life. Nobody co-signs on that. Took me a long time to get here.
Yeah. Mental health, and I don't know if it's just because it's the pandemic, a lot of people are like, they're using it as a buzzword. And I'm like, y'all, this has been around for quite some time. Because when people position themselves to be spokespeople of the black community, and there's a lot that's under that umbrella of blackness. It's not just black. And it's like, there's a lot of people who is trying to get under that umbrella that y'all keep pushing out. And it's like, so I get, it's like you watch because this happened with Ice Cube and his contract with Black America, and people were just like, so you're missing some stuff. You're not talking about mental health. You're not talking about childhood hunger. You're not talking about trans folks. You're not talking about queer rights. You're not talking about Black maternal health. You're not talking about any of that. So, but you're saying, give us black banks and give us money and give us land and that'll solve everything. And it's like, it won't. What are you talking about? Where are you getting this from? And so it's kind of like you just go, there's so much under Blackness. And one big thing that I'm like, and I don't know if it's just because we've used therapists and we see the value of having a therapy and what therapy really is, that important. People don't realize how, like, how there's a lot of unhealed trauma in our community.
Yes. And
some of it is just, it's coming from childhood. Yeah. Because it's unhealed. Mm-hmm. It's not, because to heal, you got to clean the wound, which means you got to go in and you got to get all the shit out. Yes. It's like you can't just put a Band-Aid on, like, that's not helping. That's not healing. Because there's a lot of shit under that Band-Aid. Yeah. And so one of those things, I'm like, because we were talking earlier about Kirk Franklin and his son, and everybody's talking about his age. He's 32. And I'm like, there's a lot of people who don't get to therapy until like past 35. Yeah. And it's like, that takes work. It's not a light switch. And also, it can't be, when you hear older people talk about their kids, I'm like, I'm 85, but my child is 60, and she's always going to be my baby. He's always going to be my baby. Mm-hmm. But then you're telling a 32-year-old man, you're a grown-ass man, and you need to grow the fuck up. It's like, wait, is he still not your baby? Mm-hmm. Is he stopped being your baby? Yeah. And it's like, I'm not going to sit here. I'm like, it's like, we're black people, and we have gallows humor, so we're going to make jokes about, like, okay, this shit is not supposed to be funny. But let me tell you this funny ass joke. Let me tell you how funny, because that's just how it's like, believe me, there's no way the strength of people who came here as the equivalents of bales of hay to have to basically get every single right, literally the right to breathe and say you're a human. Yeah. It's like, that's how basic our rights were in this country, that we had to get everything. There's no possible way you can get through that kind of trauma as a race without some gallows humor. I'm like, we gotta laugh to keep from crying, because y'all make us cry a lot. Yeah. So when I'm watching this man, he's 32, he'll be 33. I'm like, there's a lot going on there. Mm-hmm. And that's still his child. I'm like, y'all don't know what it was like to have Kirk Franklin as your daddy. You know what it's like to listen to his music. Mm-hmm. You know what it's like to listen to maybe his show. Yeah. You see him on IG Live, but you don't know what he is as a person, especially if this person that he helped create came before Tammy. Yeah, it's like, y'all don't know what this is like. I'm like, how old is Kirk Franklin again? Because he's 32. Yeah. So how
what are you about,
carry
50, 60?
Right. I don't even think he's close to 60. I think he's in his 50s. Yeah. So it's like he had him at very young. So it's a lot. And then it's like, no, he too old. I'm like, yeah. So you're never too old to go to therapy. Yeah. Just at least start. Trauma doesn't have age. It doesn't. It doesn't have an expiration. I'm like, oh, you're past 35? Yeah, we can't talk about the childhood trauma right now. No. You're over 35. That's not how that works.
Where do you put childhood trauma?
Right.
You either you face it, you stuff it, or you heal it.
Right.
Either way, you gotta do something.
He's 32. It's like, he's too old. I was like, I started my therapy when I was 32. Yeah. I was like, I remember, it's like, child. I'm like, no. It's like, and I don't have nowhere near the trauma that it seems like this man has and have had, because one, my father is not famous. This man is also famous. It's like, he's not just Kirk Jones from around the way. He is famous.
And his trauma whatever is hurting him or has hurt him or still hurting him, may not have anything to do with his father.
Correct.
Which is possible, but
he gotta do that work, and it's kind of like
he has to do that.
Yeah.
And our people are, I don't want to say not doing that type of work, but I know very few who are. They would rather let time heal that. And a lot religion can heal that.
They get prayed away, and it's like,
yeah. And that is.
It's part of it.
Also, you can also go to a pastor and also talk about it, because some of them are trained in therapy too. So that's good. As long as you get it off of you. Yeah. However you want to do it, get it off of you.
Yeah.
But you have to recognize that there's something there that needs to get off of you.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's fine too. But get it off of you.
Please.
Get it off of you.
Yeah, it's
because that's the only way. It's the only way is to get it off of you. Pick any way you want to do that, but recognize that there is a problem. That the problem ain't outside of yourself.
Yeah, because it's going to take a lot. It's going to take both.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, and also I saw Kirk's video. I was like, y'all, and there are people like, he apologized. I'm like, he apologized to us. He didn't apologize to his son. So that apology is coming out of, I'm so sorry, y'all, that y'all got to see this because I've been trying to do. So this is not an apology. He was like, and then I use cuss words. I'm like, sir, you said I would let the chopper spray. So this is not, I'm not surprised at any of this, because a lot of people don't realize before Kanye West made a CD called Jesus is King, Kirk Franklin was the worldly gospel person that they said, you a little too worldly, you a little too secular, we can't invite you to all our different churches. Because remember, he couldn't get into those churches. They were like, you a little too, you bringing in salt from Salt and Pepper, you bringing in too much hippity hop, we ain't doing that. That ain't no Jesus in it now. And people were celebrating Kanye. I was like, Kirk Franklin would like a word with y'all. He would like a quick word in the deacon's office, because y'all literally said he was a little too worldly.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's, ooh.
Yeah,
it's like,
I think
child,
Jesus would like to have a word with all of you.
Right. It was like,
because Jesus was too worldly when he was here, wasn't he?
So everybody's like, oh my God, and look at how I'm like, then y'all don't know about Leandra. Y'all don't know about Leandra. I'm like, y'all saw her on Iyanla, a.k.a. the freelance auntie. You saw her on that show, and it's like, y'all don't know, that woman can sing.
Oh, no. Oh Lord. It's that woman.
Whew.
That woman will make your heart boil.
It's like,
listen to her sing.
It's like Leandra got the voice. It's like,
that is the voice. That is the voice.
It's like she could just blow.
And
there was so much pain there.
Yes. If you could listen to her and not see the person, judge the person, and apply what she's singing about to yourself.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Would this be a different world? Because you would have to look at yourself.
Yeah.
Spend the time with yourself. You're pretty great people out there, right? Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
You can't always blame it on your mama and your daddy and your auntie down the street and all that. Sometimes horrible things don't happen to people. Sometimes, like what's happening now, that is nobody's fault. This pandemic, it's really nobody's fault. And it's under no one's control, other than Jesus and God. Everybody's going through a hard time.
Yeah.
And no one is going to debate that. And it's enough to hurt you if you're not careful.
Yeah.
So maybe, just maybe, find the strength inside yourself to face yourself.
Because it's a lot. Because what I've learned in therapy, and it's probably something you learned too, is that you learn that you can't change anybody. You change how you react to that person.
Yes.
You're just changing your reaction. You're not. You going to therapy is not changing anybody. It's just changing you. Because it's like there's no way that Carrion Franklin can change Kirk Franklin.
Oh,
he can't. There's nothing you can do. Because
you can be mad forever.
Right. You can be mad for. He was like, yeah. It's like, yeah. Because he apologized out of embarrassment, not because he saw any pain. Because it's like, I'm not doing this with y'all.
Yeah.
And it was like,
that was worse.
It was like that. It's 40. It was only 45 seconds.
But
it's like he only showed 45 seconds. Then he's saying TD Jakes was on this call too. Time out. Why we bring it? TD was like, man, how'd I get into this? You see how they just bring my name up and stuff? I ain't even did nothing. No. I ain't said nothing.
If you're going to offer anyone an apology, why are you doing it over the internet?
He did it on Instagram, and it's like, and I like
over the internet. Why are you doing that? Why are you not picking up the phone and calling your child and saying we need to talk? I'm mad at you. You wrong.
Because it's like,
whatever y'all need to say, that's between y'all two.
Yeah.
And Jesus himself. Why are you not talking to your child?
'Cause-
Why are you bringing all of the is it Instagram, Twitter? What is he doing?
It's Instagram.
Why is everybody else involved so they can go, ooh, what a good daddy?
And
Yeah,
it's
I'm talking to
did,
you.
right? It's like, did y'all listen to what he said? He didn't apologize for anything other than, I'm sorry, y'all had to see this. It's like, wait.
Is that so we can make
what?
You gonna make sure everybody buy your music when
right?
it's time?
And then it's like, and people are like going like, he's grown up and he need to get away from this. I'm like, but a week or so ago, y'all wanted safe spaces for men. I'm like, y'all wanted safe spaces. I'm like, so where is his safe space? Y'all wanted us to call in and not call out straight black men, cis, straight black men. Y'all wanted the safe spaces. Y'all said, call us in and not call us out. And then y'all were like, fuck that nigga. No, grow the fuck up. Bitch up. Like, you need to nut up, nigga. It's like, wait, what?
Why? I
I was like, wait a minute. So why? See, this is why you don't realize why, if you are not a straight black man, why do you think these other people have safe spaces from you? From you. Why should any woman be like, I feel uncomfortable going to a barbershop with my son because I'm felt uncomfortable? If you're a gay black man going to a barbershop, you're like, let me not move too much or say too much because I don't want them to know that they might be like picking it up.
Oh, I got
right.
it.
So it's like, and you've heard gay men say that. I'm like, yeah, I go to a barber, but I don't say nothing. I don't talk too much. I nod, yes or no, short. I'm like, I don't talk. It's like, because one, I don't want that. And then think about what they hear.
Oh.
And it's like, you hear what they say about women, they hear about gay men, they come about trans people. It's like, they hear all of this. And it's like, let me not say anything because y'all might start attacking me. So let me be quiet, get my regular, and give you your $12 and get the fuck out. Because you're gonna make me say something. I'm like, nope, let me go. So it's like, why do you think women have safe spaces? Why do you think queer people have safe spaces? Why do you think single black mothers have safe spaces? Because y'all always shitting on them. Like, you think they just went into this to be single mothers? It's like, how did this happen? It's like anything that happens to your child, it's the mama's fault. I'm like, well, what? She was a single mother. Oh, look, she raised him terribly. Where's his daddy? Why is it never his fault? I'm like, I'm not trying to put blame because we're talking about adults doing shit. But it's like, if you want to place blame, it needs to be split evenly. Stop saying like, well, it's the mama and she ain't do something. I'm like, yeah, so there's a lot of good men who've been raised by single mothers who don't do that shit. So I'm sorry, what's the difference? It's like, it's her fault. I'm like, if she not there, if she is there, you love them too much. You don't love them enough. You give them too much. You don't give them too much. It was like, I'm sorry, is it Uchi Wally is a one mic? Which one is it her fault? It's like, why is it always a woman's fault? It's like, what is wrong with you? It's like, have I lost it? I can't. I can't. So, like, you know, she's like, is it Uchi Wally? Can I just, so when I've been talking about colorism and whenever I tell people this, they just go, that's not true. I'm like, oh, it was. Now, you remember Escape when I was in high school. Now, you remember the group Escape? It was Candy, it was the two Tamikas, and Natasha. Now, when I tell people who are younger, I was like, I just want to let y'all know something. Tiny was considered the pretty one. They like, no, the fuck she wasn't. Yes, she was, because she was the light-skinned one.
Yeah. I did, and I thought she was a...
Right.
Not.
And the thing about it is, it's like, the thing about it, she looks different than she does now.
She had some work done.
She had some work done. I think she got something on her face, and I think she's also, her face looks fuller. She also had, like, her eyes permanently, like, lightened. It's some weird permanent thing with her eyes, and I'm like, I don't know why.
Dead person eyes.
But also,
she got somebody's eyes.
Also, it's so funny because her mama is actually white, so it's kind of like you go,
Ain't she doing strippers?
All right. See?
Wrong conversation.
Allegedly. Allegedly.
Okay, I'm sorry, allegedly. Don't come get me, T.I., because you know. Sorry, I ain't white, but well.
Okay.
I could be a stripper for a minute. But T.I. Hi. Anyway,
that
what?
Fool. Anyway.
It's
So.
still T.I.
Oh.
Okay, so keep your wife.
Oh, everybody got that problematic fave.
You keep your wife, but let your wife stay home. But,
right.
T.I. it's like,
Okay,
sorry.
So, we've been talking about colorism, how it looked when you were younger, when I was younger. Yeah. What does colorism look like to you now?
Now, it's a lot different now because, one, I'm older and I have tunnel vision, but I do. And I see it with my children. It doesn't look the same as it did because there is a lot of, I'm going to use an old term, a lot of race mixing.
Did you say race mixing?
So we see a lot of, children with both races. Mm-hmm. And people of both races, and they're beautiful too. Everybody is, with different race parents having different, children. It doesn't even matter, and they're beautiful no matter what. And I don't see it as much, but I'm also not of that age where it would relate to me anymore.
You think so?
I really don't. I don't see that anymore, and I have not heard the term that used to just hurt my feelings as a child, you good looking to be black. I haven't heard that, and it's old and it's ignorant, and I'm glad it's dead and needs a headstone. That's a horrible thing to say to anybody. All you people never say anybody is good looking to be anything. Just say they're good looking and shut the fuck up. Just say, you're good looking.
Yeah.
Not to be like everybody. You good looking to be white. You good looking to be Mexican. You're good looking to be anything else except just say you're good looking. Or you give the compliment and don't diminish the whole race of people that are or color that they are. Just give the compliment without giving a smack. Too.
Yeah, because it's like, I think women my age, 35 and older, we heard you're cute to be a dark girl. And a lot of people younger than us, they've never heard that. They're like, nobody's ever said that to me. I'm like, yeah, they're probably saying it like, oh, you a Kelly Rowland. What does that mean? One, Kelly been fine. I don't know why y'all been sleeping on Kelly Rowland for you, like, because now when young ladies...
Who's Kelly Rowland?
From Destiny's Child.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about her. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Like, Destiny's Child. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, now it's like they're not saying it. It's more like, colorism ain't real because there's some really pretty dark-skinned girls. And it's like, oh, really? And you can name the same 4. I'm like, okay, put your list, but leave off 4 people. Gabrielle Union, Lupita Nyong'o, Kelly Rowland, Naomi Campbell. Name some other people. Oh, I'm sorry. And Buffy the Body. There's a lot of people that I could name, but it's like, when you talk Megan Thee Stallion. But the thing about it is, let me tell you this. Do you know people were saying that she's ugly?
Megan.
And I'm like, she is nowhere near ugly.
Why? Because she's dark?
Mm-hmm. And she's tall. That's the thing. Megan is tall. So she's darker skinned, she's tall, and she's got somewhat of a deeper voice.
Yeah.
Because you hear the way she talks. So it's kind of like, she looked a little too manly. And it's only because of her darker skin.
Really?
And it's like, they don't say that anymore, but it was like a couple years ago they were saying that she's not all that pretty. And I was like, Megan Thee Stallion? Like, she is gorgeous. What?
Wow. Okay.
Get out of here. It's like, okay. All right.
Hey, to each his own. And
I was like, I guess. I'm like, all right.
I didn't realize that. Wow.
Mm-hmm. I was like, where are we getting this from? But of course, it's like,
really?
If you're a darker skinned black woman, and it's like,
subject
to that. It's like manly. And it's like, why is that darker skin being more masculine? And it's like, that's so weird.
Good looking. You're good looking to be black.
It's like,
you're
what does
pretty
that even
to
mean?
be black.
See, that's the thing. I got, you're pretty to be dark, and I also got, you're pretty to be fat. And it's like, so I got both of them.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is fun. So I remember telling Sasha about the fact that for Nutty Professor, the movie with Eddie Murphy, do you know, I don't think I've seen that movie outside. We went to the movie theater to see it. And I still remember crying in that movie theater. That one part where Dave Chappelle was making all of those jokes and everybody was laughing and he was trying to act like he couldn't, he didn't want to show that he was upset. I'm like, I still have never seen that part again. Whenever it comes on, I'm like, I just don't watch that part. I just don't.
Dave Chappelle?
With Dave Chappelle.
And when he goes outside?
Yeah.
And he takes, what's her name? His date home and he just... has a newspaper. I still cry. Yeah. I still cried at that part.
Yeah. And it's like, I still don't watch that. And she was like, really? I'm like, I've never seen the movie Norbit. And they're like, why?
Because that's not funny.
And I'm like, one, why is it? I'm like, yeah, she's a big, fat, dark-skinned black woman because that's what we're seen as. It's like, we're aggressive, not assertive, aggressive. We're loud and obnoxious and or in some weird way, overtly sexual.
Very. Now, but it's... I'm sorry. Norbit is that funny. I try.
I've never seen it, so I don't even know what to tell people. People are like, you've never seen it? I'm like, I've never, ever seen it. No. Like, it's not, for me, when I think about bigger women representation, it is not Fat Girls with Monique. It is not Babs with Natalie DeSalme. She rests in peace. And I was like, that was never a joke. She was on Eve, and she was like the funniest part on Eve. Remember, she was on the Eve show, and she's also in Rodgers and Hammerstein's. It does. Yeah. And so she's also in the Rodgers and Hammerstein Cinderella with Brandy and Whitney Houston. She's one of the quote unquote ugly stepsisters.
Oh no. And it's on Disney Plus, and I don't have Disney Plus.
I need them to see. Yeah, I don't know who I need to talk to, but I need the soundtrack streaming like yesterday. Okay? I'm like, I'm tired of this. I'm like, I love that soundtrack. I'm like, one, I love that Brandy. It was like, see, it broke the mold of. Remember, like, this is the other thing about colorism. When it comes to certain makeup that darker black women could wear, we couldn't wear blue eyeshadow, and we couldn't wear red lipstick. And because of Rodgers and Hammerstein Cinderella, what color was Brandy's makeup? Blue. And it was like, oh shit. And then it's like red. It's like we can just use a red that can complement our skin tone. There's so many shades of red, but they didn't want to tell black women that. It's like, every white woman can't wear the same shade of red either, but they don't tell you that. They just say black women can't wear red.
Yeah. But and you know what? That's not such a bad thing. It's a good thing we found out on our own. You know why? Because you can't take that away from me. Once you learn it yourself, I don't care what you say. This is what I found out. It looks good on me. Oh, guess who looked good in a nice plum?
Look who looked good in the Ruby Woo. I'm like, Ruby Woo is that girl from Mac. It's like,
I don't need you. You can go.
You can go over there. I'm like, go over there.
Go sit down.
Because it's like,
it's kind of nice.
It's like, this blue is nice. I'm like,
who discovered?
It was like, that's how I feel about where I wear green eyeshadow. Because I'm like,
because I know green too.
It's like, I can wear this. I'm like, oh no, y'all shouldn't be wearing any of this. Just wear these earth tones. I'm like, no, baby, we can wear a lot of color.
I can wear green. Green looks good.
Green. I can wear some blue, some purple. Yeah. It's like, I love it. Everybody finds their bright colors, but it's like they told black women that they couldn't. It's like if you're a darker skin woman, I'm like, why are you wearing pink lipstick? I'm like, so you can make that work for you? Yeah. Because there's a lot of light skinned black women, one that's on a show right now, that she wore this candy pink lipstick. I'm like, girl, give me a napkin. Give me a baby wipe, girl. If you don't take this.
I know what show you're talking about.
Oh, I'll tell you off the air.
All right.
It's like, girl, it was like, no. Okay. So, for this Colorism series, and because of, the series is not planned around this interview, but Meghan Markle and Prince Harry and their interview with Oprah. People are like, oh my God, Oprah's so good at this. And I'm like, she should do a talk show. Have you lost your damn mind?
That's all she does. She's very good at it.
She has like 40 years in the game. What you mean?
That is what she does.
This is what she does.
Well, she has a
Well, she was like, she was so funny. Can I just tell you, now you've seen her in other interviews. Remember, she interviewed Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston. She was not as expressive about what Megan was saying as she was with them. She was like, what? I'm like, why do I feel like it? Wait a minute, you didn't even do this with fucking Michael Jackson when he's talking about his
because it was explosive.
It was like,
it was very.
What?
I am shocked by a lot of that. I really am, but they are also in a different country. Look what they did to Diana, and she was white.
And I think that's the part of it, and that's why I kind of like Harry. I think Vivica Fox joked and called him light-skinned Harry. I'm like, see, this is how I know y'all don't know a lot of stuff, and some people didn't pay attention. Y'all did not pay attention to how Harry would talk after Diana died. He was like, I'm off this. I ain't getting nowhere near the throne. I'm not going to be prince. I'm not going to be king. So y'all, good to hell luck, everybody. You go to hell. And it's like, believe me, if he could have just said, I don't want to do any of this, he would have. And then it's like, you saw, this was like constant with Meghan for like 5 years. I'm like, this is 5 years of people literally gaslighting you and doing microaggressions and then saying it's not racism because we let white people define racism. Like, so what you're doing is racism because you're actually telling, oh, it's not racist for me to like point this out. Yes, it is actually. Yes. And so Harry only needed one reason. Like, you know what? He needed, fuck this shit, I'm out. Do one more thing. And he was like, look, can we just do this part-time? Can I be a seasonal royal? No, you can't. Okay, well, then I'm going to just move to Canada.
After what happened to his mom?
And he was like, I watched this happen to my mother. And it's like, his mama wasn't black.
No.
And Diana is the reason that the whole big boom of paparazzi really did happen. It had nothing to do with any celebrities. It was Diana. It was like the way they did her.
And she walked away from the crown too?
Mm-hmm. She did.
After her husband, the prince, cheated on her.
Mm-hmm. He's married to his side piece. He married her after like what, decades together?
And they made it seem like it was her fault that she was going to divorce him. Yeah, damn Skippy, she gonna divorce him. And she. Y'all can call me up. Y'all can talk about me, but I'm sorry, she was not as beautiful as Diana.
She's not.
She was not. But she's deliberately, not deliberately, but obviously cheating with this woman while married to her, and she was supposed to stay married to him.
Y'all have lost y'all plumb minds. Y'all got her full circle fucked up. It's like, you got me full circle fucked up.
And the other son must be not, you know what that did to her? Mm-hmm. No wonder she walked away.
And notice it's like, for William, it's like, I guess this is just how it goes. I'm like, William? Harry is like, fuck, he joined the army to get away from y'all. I'm like, how do you join the British military going like, I'm going to do something else
I'm gonna do something
so I can just get away from the fuck with y'all. And because of
babies, I hope they name her Diana.
Oh no, I hope they do too.
Yeah,
because if she had girl, I said,
but also she might not because Diana did die young. And you don't want that when you're a child.
And the thing about it is with her, it's like the reason that they are able to walk away is because of the money Diana left.
That's a lot of money.
$40 million. So what if he didn't have a nest egg? You essentially wanted them to stick in this and just take all of this. Them. It's like you wanted something else. And that's the thing. Harry's like, I was a kid when that happened. I'm a grown up. This is not happening.
Yeah.
And it's the bad part of it. So when you look at, a lot of people did not know that Meghan Markle was biracial. Because you look at her, she definitely is white.
I didn't know she was biracial until after Suits. When she was on Suits, I never really looked at it, so I didn't pay it no mind.
Because that's the thing. Because you know the USA shows, it's like I couldn't get into the only USA show that I got into was Psych. Psych is, I love Psych. Psych is so good.
I didn't even look at that.
I love Psych. I love the two movies. But Suits and I think the one with Matt Bomer, his fine. He's so fine.
Oh yeah, pretty boy.
I didn't watch that one. I just watched Psych. So I didn't know. But then you see clips of, I'm like, oh, they made her having a black parent part of her storyline. And then they were digging stuff up. Now, she used to be, remember Nickelodeon used to have Nick News? Yeah. She was one of the correspondents when she was a kid. And if you look at her, it's like, you was like, oh, she is black. Oh, okay, I can see it now. Yeah. It's like you just go, I can see it now.
And the thing is, also, it's like, so.
Right. So it's like, she's considered white passing because she's like the singer Halsey. I didn't know, Halsey apparently, yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, I'm recording with them in a few minutes.
Okay.
So, Halsey is somebody who also has a black parent, but if you look at her, you don't think she's black. And so she was like, you would not
I know
imagine.
who Wolfie is.
Yeah, she's like, you would not imagine the things white people say in front of me because they just think I'm white because I look white to them, so they'll say it. And so I was just like, yeah, how about that?
Yeah, right.
yeah, how about that?
Yeah.
So when I think about and I said I was going to bring it up, and it's like there's no way I can't bring it up, but I have to bring it up with my mother. The movie Imitation of Life, and I was like, y'all, my mama said you have to sit. We're going to sit down and we're going to watch this movie because you need to see Sarah Jane. And it's just like, ooh. Because the thing about it is, in the movie, so Imitation of Life is about a black woman and a white woman who meet on a beach, and that black woman becomes part of her staff, and they have so not only she's staff, but she's also a friend. Sandra Dee, for everybody who doesn't know who Sandra Dee, you can Google her, big actress. She's also in this movie. So the black woman has a biracial child who is white passing. She's so light. They never explain how this happened. They don't talk. They never. It's just like, oh, this is my daughter Sarah Jane, and they're just like, wait, what?
Who this?
It's like, we're not discussing the death. Okay, we're just not going to discuss this. Okay, great.
All right.
So you find Sarah Jane, and mind you, the woman that she met was like an actress. So she's a rich white woman. So she also has a daughter. They become friends. And so Sarah Jane is envious of the white woman's daughter because she's white and you can do white things. And so she ran away when she was younger and did not tell anybody about her mother. Said that she was like a maid back home. I think she worked at a club that was kind of like the Moulin Rouge, and then she wouldn't tell people that she was black. And I think she was dating a guy, as a white guy, and he discovered that she was black. She's like, "Why didn't you tell me that you were a nigger?" And it's like, "Whoa, wait a second!"
Yeah, they could say nigger.
Yeah, it was like, oh. So Sarah Jane was like very much like, "Oh my God, no, I can't be black." And mind you, her mama was just like,
humble.
She was not Kirk Franklin. She just said, "I will pray for you, I love you, and please,
Mama,
it's okay."
you.
Right. Oh, and then she died, and then Sarah Jane comes running in, wanting to throw herself on the coffin,
pulling the flowers off,
and screaming and gnashing her teeth. And also Mahalia the Jackson is singing during a procession.
Yes.
It's like Mahalia the Jackson.
Yeah.
So it's a lot. It's a beautiful movie. It's from 1959. So yeah, that's why they can say nigger with the hard R.
Yeah.
And so when you look at Imitation of Life, that is the movie about what it's like to be white passing. Because literally, the woman who plays Sarah Jane is not a white person, white passing black person. She is a white lady.
Yes.
She's a white lady. I think her mother is Latina, and then her father is white, but still no black. So it's like she's supposed to be playing a white passing black person, but she actually is a white person. So it's just so funny when you think about it. It's kind of like,
but she had a black body. She had curves.
Yeah,
she got mad curves.
She had the booty.
Yeah, she had black curves.
It's like seeing Natalie Wood in West Side Story.
Yeah,
it's like,
like that.
Ooh,
wait a minute.
Ooh,
Wait a minute, ooh child,
the ghetto.
But anyway, that was the requisite movie for every black person in the 60s and the 50s. And it was horrifying me. And everybody, I think every black mother said that that's what's going to happen to you if you treat your mama like that. You just wait till I die. You're going to be crying and trying to go in the grave with me.
Yeah. Sarah Jane. She is the quintessential thing of, if you are a white person, black person, don't you be like Sarah Jane, because Mahalia will not be at the funeral, okay? She will not be at the funeral.
She
Mahalia won't be at the funeral.
Is no longer with us, but she has that voice that
it was just like
bring tears to your life.
And she's like, I don't know what the lighting of, I don't know what it was about the lighting of Mahalia Jackson at the end. It was like, wow. It was like a crown, and it was so weird.
Because it was her singing voice, Stephanie.
Yeah.
She was Mahalia Jackson.
That's probably what it is. But it's like, Imitation of Life is so interesting because you see, like, that the term colorism wasn't there, but it was like, why would she want to not be black. Why do you think? It's 1959.
Are you kidding?
It's 1959.
She couldn't. In 1959, you couldn't even eat in places at all.
Correct.
You couldn't go in stores. You had to go in the back. You could not drink in water fountains.
Correct.
You could not go. You wouldn't just be called a nigger. You'd be given scraps and everything else, and people could actually spit on you, and you could do nothing but wipe it off.
Right, and you couldn't look people in the eye.
Yeah,
you couldn't look white people.
There were no laws.
There was no laws.
There was
like
no
if you're
laws.
a black woman and some white man raped you, there's no repercussions for that.
And we won't talk about the schools.
Correct.
Yeah, they had those those courageous children that got spit on, feces thrown on them when they were in school.
Correct.
They had to call the National Guard.
I'm like, everybody talks about Ruby Bridges. I'm like, you know what's really funny? Ruby Bridges is still very much alive, and she's only in her 60s.
Okay.
I'm like, that is not a long time ago. She was what, 6 years old?
Yeah, but that's a long time.
But it's like, realize she's in her 60s. That's not that long ago.
I would not send my child to that. I would be like, baby, you just go to this school. I would not put my child.
That's a lot of danger.
That's a lot of danger.
So when I look at the Sarah Jane from Imitation of Life and how she reacts to her whiteness, it's like, so this is I feel like it's definitely people who felt that way, but I think when it came to white passing, it was more about, it wasn't as dramatic as that. It's just like, I'm white passing so I can be safe. I'm not going to tell you that I'm not going to tell you I'm black because it's for my safety. For Sarah Jane, it was like, I just hate blackness because, oh God, this country, no, I have to be white.
Well, I have a question for you.
Yep.
Would you?
Would I what?
If you were able to, just
pass?
Yes, would you pass for white if you could? Not in this day.
Oh, in 1959?
Would you?
Yeah.
How about 60s?
Still.
Yeah.
And the thing about it, and I'm not even thinking like I would never react to my parent that way, but it's like I understand the white passing. It'd be like, yeah, I ain't gonna tell you I'm black. It's like, I'm gonna just let you think I'm white.
Yes.
So it's like,
Because
I think that's the part that people don't realize. I'm like, it's about safety.
Mm-hmm.
It's about safety, and you can get shit done because everybody forgets. I know, I love Chadwick Boseman, y'all. He is nominated for an Oscar. He gonna get that Oscar. I'm like, y'all can just sit y'all asses right on down because Chad is gonna get this, and that's it. Mm-hmm. Okay. And it's like, but still, when he played Thurgood Marshall, I was like, okay, so we're gonna have a discussion. Because Thurgood Marshall was a very light-skinned black man. So
he's a very good actor.
Right. And it's like, God, we're just ignoring the fact that he looks nothing like Thurgood Marshall. We're just going to forget. But it's like, that's how good he is. It's like, so Thurgood Marshall's a light-skinned black man. We don't give a goddamn. Do you see the way Chad is acting? Excuse me?
And that's a good thing.
And that's it. And that's a good thing where you can just go, yeah, I'm going to ignore that part.
Yeah, we're going to ignore that.
We're going to ignore this.
Like,
yeah, it's fine because, well, he's Jackie Robinson, he's James Brown, and he's Thurgood Marshall. Yeah, I'm good with it. Yeah. I mean, I don't have no problems with this. Do y'all have a problem?
No.
We don't have no problems.
No, he's that good.
So, I'm sorry, he's so good. Yeah. So, we're rounding out this conversation with colorism. I wanted to have conversations with someone who is in entertainment. She is a working actress. That is Sasha. And so that's what we started with.
Okay.
I started with, and in the middle, I had two good girlfriends who are mothers of children who are Gen Z, and also, I guess, lower millennial, because my age is considered millennial, and I'm trying to think if you're in your early 20s, is that still Gen Z? I don't know the rules. It's like being at the Emerald City in the Wiz. I thought it over, and green is dead. That's how it comes up to me. I'm like, I don't know. Y'all keep making the rules different. So I wanted to talk to two mothers who are mothering children in this day, in this teenage, and what is this like for you when you're like, hey, I don't want my kid to think her skin tone is a detriment. It's not. And I was like, I wanted to end this conversation with you because for me, and this is definitely a thank you for the kind of mother that you were and are, is that I never felt like in your home that my skin tone was an issue and would hold me back or something was wrong with it. I never, that part, I see the colorism around me, and I experienced colorism maybe in high school and in work, but never in your home, never in my parents' home. I never felt like my size or my skin tone was a detriment, or that, you know, if you were lighter, you should do this. I'm like, oh, you should do this. You can't do that because of your skin tone. You can't do that because of your size. And I never felt inadequate. And so the thing about it is, I've had friends who don't have that. They were just like, no, my mom was like, oh no, get out the sun. I don't want you getting any blacker. No, you can't do this. I'm like, you're not as pretty. And straighten your hair, because one, never, it was never about my hair, my skin tone, my weight, nothing. And it was just kind of like, that's a safety of, and that's just safety parameters that mothers put up, especially I've noticed it with black mothers, where they're like, I gotta protect you. I want to get you ready for the world, but yeah, the world is out there. It's burning down out there, but inside here, you don't have to feel inadequate. So I just want to thank you for fostering that kind of environment, because I know other people don't have it. Yeah. And for me, colorism is something that I never felt from you.
Yeah. Oh no.
And so it's kind of like I could not have this conversation series without you. Oh. So you had to. So it's like you had to be here. They're like, ooh, I'm like, yes, my mom gonna be here. And like, I just want to let y'all know she gonna be here, y'all.
Yes, they ain't curse too much. No, I don't curse because I'm a saint. But
they've already listened. They're like,
oh, it's all.
Wait, they gonna run it. Right. Excuse me, Pamela. So I heard you.
I am very proud of my daughter, but also I just love my daughter, just as she is. She's just a wonderful person, and I just hope she goes and does great things that she is happy with. And she can't impress me anymore. She impressed me at 8 pounds and 4 ounces, and that was her birth weight. So, and whatever happens, happens. I am not, she is not perfect, and neither am I. But there is much love here. And I promised myself the day she was born, this relationship will be a mother-daughter progress to friend and friend. Because this is a grown woman that's leading her life, and I'm very proud of her. And that's it. I don't get a say in her life. I only get a say in mine. And she's wonderful. And she's Mocha Minutes, and I tell all of my friends about her, and they pull out their phones. Like, whoa! And it's just like, oh, I don't know. What? I feel old. I don't know what to say. But tell your friends about Mocha Minutes. She's wonderful. Bye.
Okay, bye, y'all. So, y'all, this has been the Colorism series. Like the last conversation series about transphobia in the black community, it is I wish it wasn't a ongoing conversation, but it is. Because, we have Zaya Wade, and y'all don't understand the difference between gender identity and sexual preference, and there's a difference. And I'm tired of y'all worrying about this little girl. It's like, leave that little girl alone. It's like, first of all, shut the hell up. Y'all, and the thing about it is, because I am someone who has experienced unconditional love from my parents, I recognize that with Zaya Wade's parents. It's like, yeah, you're my kid and I love you. Oh, okay, I'm transgender. Okay, so do you want cheese on your eggs or no? Okay, what we got to do? What do you want to do? How do you want your hair? What do you want to do? How do you want to dress? Hi, get her out of those kitten heels. Death to kitten heels. That's the only thing. Like, I don't care what you do, but give her some nice, cute ballet flats or some cute sneakers. But if you don't get her out of them kitten heels, I'm going to beat y'all up. Okay? Death to kitten heels. Me and Cook we are like Voltron with this shit. Death to kitten heels. We don't like them. They are terrible. They didn't work with Hilary, and they not working with that little girl. And I want to know, the person who created kitten heels, I hope they step on Legos for the rest of their life.
Because that's what it's like walking on.
I was like, who's wearing these fucking things?
You don't give us some pink tennis shoes.
Please leave us alone.
And stop it.
It's like, death to kitten heels. I don't know how we got on that, but yes.
Yeah.
No. So, just like transphobia in the black community is still ongoing, colorism is going to be a ongoing conversation. But yeah, it's going to keep going. And as long as there are women bold enough to actually say, this is colorism and it needs to stop, then hopefully more people will understand. and I will end it the way I've started this. Colorism is a detriment to darker skinned people and a benefit to lighter skinned people. And if you don't believe me, please look at some of your entertainers, and some of them, they're a little bit lighter, so everyone's like, they're so talented. And I'm like, girl, Beyonce is a unicorn. Don't do this.
We love her, though.
I love Beyonce. 28 Grammys, bitch. 28. Bow down. We need album of the year and record of the year. Y'all, excuse me, I get it, 28. When y'all gonna give her record and album of the year? Because homegirl deserves it. She works her ass off.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So,
but she been working. Come on.
She got 28 Grammys, okay?
She's not new.
She's not new to this. She's true to this.
Yes.
And also, and shout out to PJ. It is Aaliyah Appreciation Day. I have been. Let me tell y'all something.
Oh, okay.
We just listening to Aaliyah because we just love her. He said it was. I was like, oh, now I gotta go listen to some Aaliyah. Aaliyah self-titled, baby. Put it in your life. It's so good, but you're gonna have to buy it because it ain't streaming yet.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah. See, I own it, so I just put it on my iTunes. I put it on my iTunes. I'm like, y'all, Aaliyah self-titled. Get it in your, let it sizzle in your spirit. Okay, let it sizzle. All right, y'all. I will be back next week. It'll be probably closer to April. So in April, I'm gonna have some people in there that I've been on Know That Pod, and Quinn called me a whole fool, and he has gave me an idea that for April, my guests are people that I consider whole fools. April Fool's Month. So people that I enjoy just have, because we cut up and we are crazy and we have fun. So yeah, that's the preview, guys. This has been the Mocha Minutes Podcast. I will be back next week. Bye.